Hello, my name is Mayanka. I am accounts and the finance trainer from UPLETS. Today, we will cover the topic of financial statement of companies. In this video, we will discuss what is the financial statement of companies and we will discuss the companies. What are the companies? Definitions of companies, and we will discuss the books of accounts, place of books of accounts, and all other relevant points which are relating to the financial statement of the organizations. Now we will start our video. Financial statements of companies. First, we will discuss the meaning of company. What is the meaning of companies? As per Section 2, subsection 20 of the Companies Act 2013, the company means a company which is incorporated under the Companies Act 2013 or under any previous company laws. As per the Section 2, subsection 20 of the Companies Act 2013 contain the provision of companies. According to Section 2, subsection 20 of the Companies Act 2013, company means a company which is incorporated under the Companies Act 2013 or which is incorporated under any previous company law. Is that if there is any organization which is incorporated, if there is any company which is incorporated under the Companies Act 2013 or which is incorporated under the Companies Act 1956, then such company is to be known as company as per the Companies Act. There are the different type of companies which is defined as per the Companies Act 2013. Is that 2013 contains the different type of companies. Now we will discuss these types because for the full understanding of the companies and the company's financials, the different type of companies, the definitions and the types of different companies is mandatory to understand. Number one, company limited by guarantee. What is the company which is limited by the guarantee? Section 2, subsection 21 of the Companies Act 2013 explain the company which is limited by the guarantee. Company limited by the guarantee means a company which is having the liability of its member which is limited by the memorandum of such amount as the member may respectively undertake to contribute to the assets of company in the event of being bind up. Is that as per section 2 subsection 21 of the Companies Act 2013, the company limited by the guarantee means the company which is having the liability of the members which is limited by the amount as the member may respectively undertake to contribute to the assets of the company in the event of binding up. So where the liability of the members of the company is limited by the amount, then such company is to be known as company limited by the guarantee. For the example, there is a company A Limited and such company is limited by the guarantee. In this case, in the case of winding up, the the members of the companies are limited to their obligation. And the obligation and the amount of the obligation is limited by the memorandum of such amount as the member may contribute to the assets of the company. So, such a company is to be considered as or is to be known as company which is limited by the guarantee. Now, we will discuss the company which is limited by the share. Company limited by the share. As per section 2, subsection 22, as per section 2, subsection 22 of the Companies Act, company limited by the guarantee means a company which is having the liability of its member which is limited by the memorandum of the amounts, if any, which is unpaid on the share respectively held by them. Is that the company limited by the share means a company which is having the amount of liability of its member which is limited by the amount of share which is unpaid. Is that in the case of company limited by the share, the amount of the liability of the members is limited to the unpaid amount of share. For the example, in the case of A Limited and such a in the case of A Limited, such a company is limited by the share and there is a member Ram Limited. There is a member a Ram Limited who hold the share of such company. Who hold the share of such company, then the amount of share, the amount of such share is unpaid. Means some balance amount is not paid by Mr. Ram. So, in this case, the liability of Mr. Ram is to be limited to the unpaid amount of share. So, such organization is to be known as company limited by the share. Now, we will discuss foreign company. What is the meaning of foreign company? Section 2, subsection 42. Section 2, subsection 42 of the Companies Act 2013 contain the meaning of foreign company. The foreign company means a company or a body corporate which is incorporated outside India. A foreign company means a company which is incorporated outside India, which when there is any company which is incorporated in outside India, which has a place of business in India, which has a place of business in India, whether by itself or through the agent physically or through any electronic mode. Is that the foreign company is a company which is incorporated in India, which is incorporated outside India, but which have a place of business. Such company have a place of business in India, whether by itself or through the agent physically, or it has a place of business it has a place of business in India through any electronic mode. And such company conduct any business activity in India in any other manner. If the foreign company has a place of business in India, whether by itself or through any agent, physically or through any electronical mode, or and perform the business activity in India, then such company is to be considered as foreign company. Then such company is to be considered the foreign company in India. Now we will discuss what is the meaning of government company. Government company. Section 2, subsection 45 of the Companies Act 2030 contain the definition of government company. Government company means any company in which not less than 50%, not less than 51% of paid up share capital is held by the central government or by the state government or by the central government as well as state government, means partially by the state government or partially by the one or more state government, and it is also include the subsidiary company of such a government company. Is that the government company means any company in which not less than 51% of paid up share capital is held by the central government or by the state government or partial by the central governments, partial by the central government and partial by the state or more than one state government. In the definition of government company, it is also include the subsidiary company of such a government company. Is that the subsidiary company of such government company will also be included in the definition of government company. Is that the subsidiary company of the government company will also be considered the government company. So this is the definition of government company. Section 2, subsection 45. Now we will discuss the one-person company. What is the meaning of one-person company? Section 2, subsection 62. Section 2, subsection 62 of the Companies Act 2013 define the meaning of one-person company. The one-person company means a company which has only one person as a member. The one-person company is a company in which only a single member, only a single person work as a member. Is that in the case of one-person company, only a one person will perform the business activity. He is the owner of the organization. He is the everything of such organization. He is only the single person who is the member of such organization. So as per section 2, subsection 62, the one-person company means a company in which only one person is working as a member. Now we will discuss the meaning of private company. What is the meaning of private company? The private company means a company, a private company means a company which is having a paid up share capital. The private company means a company having a minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed and which by its article. Private company means a company which is having the minimum paid up share capital, the minimum share capital which is authorized and which is prescribed by its article. And number 1, it restricts the right to transfer its share. The private company, in the private company, there is a restriction to transfer transfer its share. In the case of private company, the member does not have the right to transfer its share. Except in case of one-person company, limits of the member to 200. In the case of private company, there is the limit of the member, except in the case of one person, the limit of the member to 2000 is that 200. In the case of a private limited company, the number of the members should not be more than 200. Provided that where two or more persons hold one or more shares in a company jointly, they should, for the purpose of this clause, be treated as a single member. Provided that in case when there are two or more than two members, when there are two and more members and they hold one or more share, in the company jointly, then for the purpose of this, they will be treated as single member. They will be treated as a single member. Is that the private company means the company which have a minimum paid up share capital, which is prescribed by the article, and number two, it is restricted to transfer its share. Is that such organization will not transfer or will not issue its share in the public. They will issue their share in the private sector or in private. They cannot transfer or they cannot issue their share publicly. And the private limited company, in the case of private limited company, the maximum number of members, the maximum number of the members to 200, is that the members should not be more than 200 in the case of in the case of private limited company. In the case of private limited company, if there is two or more person hold one or more share of such company jointly, then in this case, such person will be considered as a single member. Provided further that person who are in the employment of the company, provided further that in case when there is any person who is under the employment of the company, and the person who having been formerly in the employment of company were the member of the company while in that employment, and have continue to be member after the employment ceased, should not be included in the number of members. Is that if there is any person who is the employee of the company, or who is under the employment of the company, and the person who the person who is in the employment of company were member of the company while in that employment, and has continued to be member after the employment ceased, then such person should not be considered. Then such person should not be considered, and it should not be included in the number of member. And prohibit any invitation to the public to subscribe for any security of the company. And the private company does not invite the public to subscribe the securities. Is that if the private company wants to issue the share, and they want to invite the public to subscribe the security, to subscribe the debenture, to subscribe the equity of such company, then they cannot do so. Instead, they have the restriction for the invitation to the public to subscribe any shares, any debenture, or any other security of the company. So this is the definition of public. So this is the definition of private company. This is to be known as private company. Now we will discuss the meaning of public company. What is the meaning of public company? Section 2, subsection 71 of the Companies Act 2013 define the meaning of public company. What is the meaning of public company? The public company means a company. Public company means a company which is not a private company. Public company means which is not a private company, and which has the minimum paid up share capital as prescribed. The public company means a company which is not a private company, and number two, has a minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed, provided that the company which is the subsidiary, provided that a company which is the subsidiary of a company not being a private company, should be deemed to be the public company for the purpose of this act, even where such a subsidiary company to be a private company in its article. Is that the public company means a company which is not a private company and which have the minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed, provided that a company which is a subsidiary of a company, there is a subsidiary company being not a private company, which is not a private company, it shall be deemed to be the public company. It shall be deemed to be the public company for the purpose of this act. For the purpose of this act, it will also be deemed to be the public company, even where such a subsidiary company continue to be a private company in its article. In its article, such a subsidiary company is to continue to be considered as a private company, but for the purpose of this act, it shall be deemed to be the public company. Now, we will discuss the meaning of small company. What is the meaning of a small company? Section 2, subsection 28. Section 2, subsection 28 of the Companies Act 2013 contain the definition of small company. What is the meaning of small company? Small company means a company other than public company. A small company means a company which is not a public company. Number 1, whose paid up share capital of which does not exceed 50 lakh rupees. The small company means the company whose amount of paid up share capital is not more than 50 lakh rupees or such a higher amount as may be prescribed, which should not be more than 5 crores. As per section 2, subsection 85, a small company means a company which is not a public company, and the company whose amount of paid up share capital which does not exceed 50 lakh rupees or the higher amount as may be prescribed, but the amount of the paid up share capital should not be more than 5 crore, or the amount of turnover of such company, the amount of turnover of which the amount of turnover of the such company as per the last profit and loss account does not exceed 2 crore. The amount of turnover as per the last profit and loss account does not exceed 2 crore rupees or such a higher amount as may be prescribed or such higher amount as may be prescribed under as may be prescribed but it shall not be more than 20 crores. Is that small company means a company whose amount of turnover as per the last profit and loss account does not exceed 2 crores or as such or the higher amount as may be prescribed, but it shall not be more than 20 crores, provided that nothing in this clause shall apply to. Provided that this clause shall not be applied to the holding companies or the subsidiary companies. This provision shall not be applicable to the holding company or the subsidiary company which is registered under section 8 company, the company which is registered under section 8 company, and the company and the body corporate which are governed by the special act. Is that the provision of section 2 subsection 85 does not applicable to the holding company or to the subsidiary company and the company which is registered under section 8 company and the company and the body corporate which is governed by the special act. So the small company means the company whose paid up share capital is less than rupees 50 lakh rupees or the higher amount as may be prescribed, but it shall not be more than 5 crore rupees, or the small company whose amount of turnover as per the last profit and loss account does not exceed 2 crore rupees or as higher amount as may be prescribed, which should not be more than 20 crores. So this is the definition of small company. Now we will discuss what is the meaning of unlimited company. What is the meaning of unlimited company? Section 2, subsection 92 Section 2, subsection 92 define the meaning of unlimited company. Meaning of unlimited company. Unlimited company means a company not having any limit on the liability of its member. Is that the company whose member does not have any limit on the liability, then such a company is to be known as unlimited company. For the example, there is a limited in which all the member in which the liability of the member is not limited by share or it is not limited by the guarantee, then such organization is to be known as unlimited company. In this case, at the time of binding up, the member of such company are are liable to pay the amount of liabilities. Is that the liability of the member is not limited. Now we will discuss holding company. What is the meaning of holding company? Section 2, subsection 46 of the Companies Act 2013 contain the definition of holding company. Section 2, subsection 46 of the Companies Act 2013 contain the definition of holding company. Holding company means the holding company in the relation to one or more other company means a company of which such company are subsidiary companies. Is that the holding companies are the holding company is a company which have subsidiary company, joint venture and associate. Is that in the relation to one or more companies, the holding company means of which such companies are subsidiary companies. So, such organization is to be known as holding company. For the example, there are three companies, A Limited, B Limited and the C Limited. A Limited have the voting power or they hold or A Limited hold more than 50% voting rights in B Limited and in C Limited. Then in this case, A Limited is considered as a holding company. A Limited is to be considered as holding company and B and C Limited is to be considered as subsidiary company. So this is the definition of holding company. Now we will discuss what is the meaning of subsidiary company. What is the meaning of subsidiary company? Section 2, subsection 87. Section 2, subsection 87 of the Companies Act 2013, Section 2, subsection 87 of the Companies Act 2013 contain the definition of subsidiary company or subsidiary. Subsidiary company or the subsidiary in the relation to other company means a company in which the holding company. Subsidiary company means the company in which the holding company, number one, control the composition of board of director. The holding company has the control on the composition of board of director or exercise and control, where the holding company can exercise or control more than one half of total share capital. Exercise or control more than one half means more than 50% of total share capital, either at its own or together with one or more of its subsidiary company. Subsidiary company means a company in which holding company control of has control the composition of the board of directors or exercise and control more than 50% of the total share capital, either at its own or together with one or more of the subsidiary company, provided that such class or the classes of holding company, provided that such class or such classes of the holding company as may be prescribed, should not have layers of subsidiaries beyond their numbers, as may be prescribed, provided that such class or the classes of the holding companies may be prescribed should not have layers of the subsidiaries beyond such a number of beyond such numbers as may be prescribed. So this is the definition of subsidiary company. Now we will discuss the maintenance of books of account. In the previous slides, we have discussed the definitions of the subsidiary companies as per the Companies Act 2013. Is that as per the Companies Act 2013, as per the Companies Act 2013, any of the company which is incorporated under the Companies Act 2013 or which is incorporated under the Companies Act 1956 will be considered as company, whether it may be public company, private company, limited by guarantee, limited by share, a limited company, holding company, subsidiary company, and one person company, a small company. There are the different type of companies, foreign company, and etc. So in the previous slides, we have discussed all the types of company. Means many type of the companies. Now we will discuss the maintenance of books of account. How the organization or how a company will maintain its books of accounts. Maintenance of books of accounts. As per section 128, as per the section 128 of the Companies Act 2013, as per section 128 of the Companies Act 2020, every company should prepare and keep it every company should prepare and keep at its registered office books of account and all the relevant books and the papers and the financial statements for every financial year, which give a true and fair view of the state of affairs of the company. As per section 128 of the Companies Act 2013 explained that every company shall every company shall shall require to prepare its books of accounts every year, and such books of accounts are required to be kept at its registered office. All these books of accounts are required to be kept at the registered office of the organization. These books of accounts and all the relevant books of accounts, paper, and the financial statement for every financial year, which gives the true and fair view, will be kept by the organization in its registered office. In the case when such organization have any branch, office, or offices, if there is any organization which have any branch office or offices, then such organization will also kept the books of account of such branch and the branch office in the registered office. Is that all the books of accounts of the is that as per section 128 of the Companies Act 2013, every company shall prepare and keep at its registered office all the books of accounts and all the relevant books and papers and financial statement for the every financial year, which gives a true and fair view of the state of affairs of the companies. It includes that of its branch office and offices, if any, and it is also explained that transactions which are affected. It is also include the transaction. It is affected both at a registered office and its a branch. And such books should be kept at the accrual basis according to the dual accounting system. Provided further that the company may kept provided further that the company may keep such books of account and all other relevant documents and the paper in the electrical mode in such a manner as may be prescribed. Is that the company may keep such books of account, such relevant documents, such financial statement in the electronical mode in such a manner as may be prescribed. As per Section 128 of the Companies Act 2013. As per the Section 128 of the Companies Act 2013, every company shall prepare and keep. Every company shall prepare and keep its at registered office all the books of account and all other relevant books and the financial statement. And all these financial statements and books of accounts are to be prepared on the accrual basis and according to the dual entry system of accounting. And these books of accounts are to be prepared and kept for every year, for every financial year, which gives a true and fair view of the state of affairs. So, Section 128 of the Companies Act 2013 contains the provision in the respect of preparation and keeping books of accounts. Maintenance at place other than registered office. As per Section 128, the books of accounts are to be kept at the registered office. But there are maintenance at place other than registered office. If the organization want to kept these books of accounts at any other place at the registered office there. If the organization wants to keep its books of account at any other place other than the registered office, in this case, it is the duty of the company. Then it is the duty of the company or organization to inform the register of the company within the 7 days from within the 7 days of the decision. In the case of board of director, decide to maintain the books at the place other than registered office. Is that if the board of director of any company wants to keep the books of account at any other place other than the registered office, then it is the duty of the company. It is the duty of the company to inform the registrar of the company within the 7 days from the date of decisions. From the date of the decision which is made by the board of director to keep such books of account at the place other than registered office. So it is the duty of the company to inform to the registrar of the company within the 7 days. In the case of branch office, how to keep the books of account in the case of branch office, where there is any company which have a branch office in the India or in outside India. When there is any company which have a branch office in India and in outside India, then it should be deemed to have comply with the provision of this act. If there is any company which have branches in India or in outside India, then it should be deemed that all these branches have complied all the provision of Companies Act 2013. If proper books of accounts or for proper books of account which is relating to the transaction effected at the branch office are kept at their office, and paper summarized written periodically are kept by the branch office to the company at its registered office or such other place as may be decided by the board of directors. Instead, in the case of branch office, the branches are also required to maintain and keep their books of account at the registered office or at any other place as may be decided by the board of directors of the company. Instead, the branches are also required to prepare and keep the books of account as per the Companies Act 2013. Statutory books. What are the meaning of the statutory books and the type of statutory books? Now we will discuss statutory books. The following statutory books are required to be maintained by the Companies Act 2013. Is that 2013 is that Companies Act 2013 contain a list of the statutory books which are required to be maintained by the company. Number one is Register of Investment of the company, which is held in its own name. Is that there is the requirement to prepare a register of the investment. The investment which are held by the company in its own name. For the example, there is a company which had investment in the different organization in its own name. So in this case, the company will prepare or maintain a register which will contain all the detail of the investment which is made by the company in its own name. Number two, register of charges. The register of the charges are also required to be maintained by the organization as per the Companies Act 2030. The register of members, the register of the members which contain all the information or required information of the member will also be prepared by the company as per the Companies Act. Will contain the information about the name of the members, address of the members, their status of the members, number of shares held by them, and all other relevant information which is required by the company. Register of debenture holder and other security holder. The register of the debenture holder and the security holder will also be kept and maintained by the companies as per the Companies Act. Such a register will contain all the information about the debentures holder, name of debenture holder, and address of the debenture holder, status of the debenture holder, number of debentures which are held by the debenture holder, nature of the debentures which are held by them, and in the respect of other security, it will also contain all the relevant details which is relating to the such securities. Minutes book. The company will also maintain and prepare the minutes books. The minute book are the books which is contain the all the information of meetings. The minute book contain the all the information about the meeting. So these minute books are also be required by the company. These books, these minute book is also required by the company. Register of contracts or arrangement in which the directors are interested. The company will also require to maintain the register in the respect of contract and in the respect of agreement in which the directors of the company in which the directors of the companies are interested. Is that such a register will contain all the contract on and all the arrangement and all the agreement in which the directors of the companies are interested. Next is register of director and the key management personnel and their shareholding. The company is required to maintain the register of the directors, the register of key management personnel, and it is also contain the number of shares which is held by the directors and the key management personnel. Register of loans and investment by the company. In the case As per the Companies Act 2013, there is also the requirement to maintain the register of loans. If there is any loan which is given by the organization to the another organization, then it's required to be maintained. Then there is required to maintain the register of loans and the register of the investment which is made by the company. And the company is also contain the or maintain the register and the document which is relating to the issue of share. The company will also maintain the register which will contain the all the information in the respect of issuance of share. Such a register shall be contain the information about the share application money. It is also this register shall be contain the information of share application, allotment book. These register and the document include share application book and allotment book, share call book, certificate book, register of members, share transfer book, and dividend register. In the respect of share, these following documents and these following books are required to be made: share application book and share allotment book, share call book, certificate book, register of members, share transfer book, and dividend book. So these all are the registers or the statutory books which are required to be maintained by the company as per the Companies Act 2013. Now we will discuss the annual return. What is the meaning of annual return? What is the meaning of annual returns? In the case of companies, as per the Companies Act 2013, in the accordance with Section 92 of the Companies Act 2013 contain the provision in the respect of annual report. The Companies Act 2013 contain the provision in the respect of annual report, annual return. Every company shall prepare an annual return in the form as may be prescribed by the Companies Act. As per Section 92 of the Companies Act 2013, every company shall prepare an annual return, and such annual return is to be prepared by the company in a form as may be prescribed by the Companies Act. And such annual return should be signed by the director. Such annual return should be signed by the director of the company and the secretary of the company. And where the company does not have secretary, there it should be signed by the secretary in practice. In the case of company, the annual return is prepared by the companies, and it should be signed by the director of the companies. It should be signed by director of the company and the secretary of the company. Where the company does not have any secretary, then it should be signed by the secretary in practice. Provided further that provided that in the relation to 1% company, provided that in the relation to the 1% company and the small company, in the case of 1% company and in the case of a small company, the annual return should be signed by the company secretary. In the case of 1% company or in the case of small company, such a annual return should be signed by the company secretary. Or where there is no company secretary, then it should be signed by the directors of the company. Then it should be signed by the director of the company. The annual return should be filed by the company with the registrar within the 60 days from the date on which each of the annual general meeting is held. The annual return is required to be filed by the company with the registrar of the company within the 60 days from the date of general meeting. Where no general meeting is held, In case no general meeting is held in the year, then it will be filed within the 60 days. Then the annual return is to be filed within the 60 days from the date on which AGM should have been held, among with a statement which is showing the reason why AGM not held. Is that if the AGM is not held, then it should be filed within the 60 days from the date on which AGM should have been held, among with the statement which is showing the reason why AGM not held. Is that the annual general meeting? Is that the annual return is to be filed within the 60 days from the date of annual general meeting. Now we will discuss final accounts. What is the meaning of final accounts as per the Companies Act 2013? What are the final accounts as per the Companies Act 2013? Under Section 129 of the Companies Act 2013, at the annual general meeting of the company, the board of directors of the company shall lay financial statement before the company. Is that Section 129 of the Companies Act 2013 contain the provision that in the AGM, the board of directors of the company present the financial statement. The board of directors of the company present the financial statement. The financial statement of the company includes, as per Section 2, subsection 40 of the Companies Act 2013, the financial statement of the company include: number 1, the balance sheet as at the balance sheet date or as at the financial year. The financial statement include: number 1, a balance sheet as at the end of financial year. Number 2, a profit and loss account. Profit and loss accounts. In the case when there is any company which is carrying on any activity, not for profit organization, not for profit. In the case of profit organization, profit and loss account, and in case when the organization is not carrying any business activity or any profit activity, there it will prepare income and expenditures account for the financial year. Number 3, it include cash flow statement for the financial year. It is include cash flow statement for the financial year. Number 4, it include a statement of change in equity. It is also include a statement in change in equity. And it is also include any explanatory statement or explanatory notes. It is also include a explanatory note which is annexed to or forming part of any document which is referred to in 124F. Is that it is also include any explanatory notes. It is also include any explanatory note which is annexed to or forming part of any document which is described F. So the financial statement include balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow statement, change in equity, and explanatory notes. Provided that financial statement with the respect to the one-person company, small company, and the dormant company not include the cash flow statement. Is that in the case of one-person company, small company, and dormant company, the financial statement does not include cash flow statement. Financial statement, balance sheet, notes and other statement, statement of profit and loss account, statement of change in equity, and cash flow statement. These are the component of financial statements. Thus, the financial statement with the respect to the one-person company, a small company, and a private company may not include cash flow statement. Requisition, requisite of financial statement. What is the requirement of the financial? What is the requirement of financial statement? The financial statement is the statement which is provide the true and fair view of the affairs of the company as at the end of the financial year. Is that the financial statement are those statement which is provide the true and fair view in the respect of company at the end of the relevant financial year. On the basis of financial statement, the user can obtain the knowledge about the organization. They can understand the financial and they can understand the financial position, and they can know about the performance of the organization. So the financial statement are the important to present the true and fair view and for the user of the financial statement, because on the basis of this they can take the appropriate decisions. Now we discuss provision which is applicable. The provisions which are applicable in the respect of financial statement. A specific act is applicable. A specific act is applicable for any insurance company, banking company, in the respect of insurance company, in the respect of banking company, or any company which is engaged in generation or supply of electricity, or any other class of company for which a form of balance sheet or profit and loss account has been prescribed under the act governing such class of company. Is that as per the normal provision, as per the normal provision or normal Companies Act 2013, the provision of 2013 is applicable on all the companies. But there are some special provisions which are applicable on special organization. Is that the provision of the Companies Act 2013, the special provision or the special act is applicable on the some organization. On these organization, the provision of Companies Act 2013 is not applicable. For the example, insurance company. In the case of insurance company, the provision of the Insurance Act will be applicable. In the case of banking company, the Banking Regulation Act are applicable on the banking company. In the case of the company, in the case of the company which is engaged in supply or generation of electricity, then in this case the Electricity Act provisions are applicable on such company. And in the case of any other company for which a form of balance sheet or profit and loss account is prescribed under the act governing such class of company, in any other class of company for which the form of balance sheet and the form of profit and loss account has been prescribed under the act which is governing such class of company. In the case of all other company, in the case of all other company, the balance sheet as per the form, the balance sheet as per the form which is set out in part 1 of schedule 3, and profit and loss account as per the part 2 of schedule 3 is applicable. Is that for the normal companies or for the all other companies, the provision of Companies Act 2013 is applicable, and according to this and according to that they will prepare the balance sheet as per the part 1 of schedule 2, schedule 3, and they will prepare the statement of profit and loss account as per the part 2 of schedule 3. Compliance with accounting standard. Compliance with the accounting standard. As per the section 133 of the Companies Act 2030, it is mandatory to all the company to comply all the relevant accounting standards which are notified by the central government from time to time. Is that all the companies are required to apply all the mandatory and all the applicable accounting standards which are notified by the central government from time to time basis. Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. What is the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013? As per Section 129 of the Companies Act 2013, the financial statement should give the true and fair view of the state of affairs of the company or the companies and comply with the accounting standard as may be notified under section 133 and should be in the form or the forms as may be prescribed for different class or the class of companies in schedule 3 under this act. Is that as per the schedule 3 of the schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013, as per the section 129 of the Companies Act 2013 explained that the financial statement of the organization present the true and fair view about the organization. Is that on the basis of such financial statement, the organization can know about the performance and the position of the organization, and they can obtain the information about the status of the affairs of the company and can know about whether the organization is properly following all the accounting standards and all the provisions which are applicable on the organization or not, whether the financial statements are prepared according to the accounting standards or not. So, so, as per this, the organization will prepare its financial statement according to the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. Is that Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013 contains format of balance sheet and format of profit and loss account. Then all the company will prepare their financials and the financial statement as per the Schedule 3. They will prepare the profit and loss account and balance sheet as per the Part 1 and Part 2 of the Companies Act. Part 1 or Part 3, Part 1 and Part 2 of the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. Requirement of Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013. Why there is a requirement of, in the case of financial statement, why there is a requirement of Schedule 3 of Companies Act, and why there is a requirement of accounting standard which is notified by the MCA and other statutory requirements. Is that the financial statement are to be prepared by the organization according to the requirement of Schedule 3 of the Companies Act. Is that the financial statement of the organization are prepared as per the requirement of Schedule 3 and it should be prepared according to the applicable accounting standards which are notified by central government or by the MC, and all these financial statements should be prepared as per the other statutory requirement. All the financial statements are to be prepared on the basis of statutory requirement. Now we will discuss an example for understand the Schedule 3. The management of Loyal Limited contends that the work in progress is not valid since it is very difficult to ascertain the same in the view of multiple processes involved. The management of Loyal Limited explained that the work in progress is not valued. It cannot be valued since it is very much difficult to ascertain the value because it contains various processes involved. They on the basis of their opinion, the value of the opening and the closing WIP would be more or it may be less. Accordingly, the management had not separately disclosed work in progress in its financial statement. So, comment in the line with Schedule 3 is that as per the Schedule 3, comment whether the management is doing proper or not to disclose the work in progress. As per the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013 does not require that the amount of WIP at the beginning or at the closing or at the end of the accounting period is to be disclosed in the statement of profit and loss account. Instead, as per the Schedule 3, there is no requirement to disclose there is no requirement to disclose the amount of WIP at the beginning or at the closing of the accounting period. If there is any changes in the value of inventory of WIP, then there is a requirement to disclose it only in the case of changes in the amount of inventory of WIP, then there is a requirement to disclose it in the statement of profit and loss account. So the non-disclosure of such change. So if there is any there is a no any disclosure of such change in the statement of profit and loss account by the company, non-disclosure of such change in the statement of profit and loss account by the company may not the amount of violation of Schedule 3 if there is no difference in the opening and the closing WI. Is that during the period if there is no any change in the value of opening and the closing of WIP material and due to this there is no any disclosure made by the company or made by the organization in the financial year, then it will not be considered the violation of Schedule 3, because as per the Schedule 3 there is no any requirement to disclose opening and closing balance of WIP. Only if there is any changes in the value, then there is the requirement to disclose. So we have covered some points of financial statement of the company in this video. We have discussed the different type of companies as per the Companies Act, and we have also discussed the books of accounts, what books of accounts and the registers are required to be maintained, and where to cap in the case of head office and in the case of branches. And we have also discussed all other relevant points of the Companies Act 2013. So thank you so much for watching this video. Okay, bye bye and have a nice day.